everyone. Welcome back to another week, another episode. This week, I have on my good friend Petril. Petril was an infantryman in the 82nd, just like myself. In this episode, we dive in to Afghanistan, Iraq, Eastern Orthodox Christianity, Western Orthodox Christianity, and we just dive into a bunch of different little topics over the course of about 3 hours. So I hope you enjoy this. Know that we're not perfect. Know that God loves you. And be blessed and have a great day. Oh, also, if you like the video, make sure to like it, comment, subscribe, or just share it with a friend. If you can't watch now, can you please add it to your watch later playlist? It's in the drop tab. There's 3 dots. Again, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Yeah, and I think it becomes very apparent when there's anything that isn't pure intent behind it. Anything
Yeah,
that's not pure gets immediately like filtered into the bullshit filter. And people
yeah.
just have such a high sense now that they're like, it reminds me of COVID.
Yeah.
They're just
Being trapped
well,
inside.
I will say either that one or they're tired after this election cycle, man, because that was a
Yeah,
lot.
it was. It was. And even now what's going on as we progress into this uh this whole term and it really is starting to get to a hot point. I mean, I don't think we have ever as a nation seen something like this. I mean, it's just day after day after day. I mean, today, the shooting in Michigan at the church,
Yeah.
that was horrible. And it's not it definitely speaks volumes on the politics and what they want to happen. You know what I mean? That's what I think. I truly believe that, a lot of this divide is just going to keep going because that's what they want.
And I, the way I've been looking at it, I can't help but feel like 95% of these issues are manufactured.
In some way, under the
Yeah.
guise of something for you to vote for somebody, you know?
Exactly. Like it's just it all feels so manufactured to push you into an extreme. And
Right.
like it's kind of feels like the silent majority is just sitting there like I don't want to do extreme shit. Stop trying to
Right.
make me.
Yeah, like the more that you go out, the more that you interact with people, the more you realize like, wow, like a lot of these people, they don't want that. They don't want people killed. They don't want a conflict. They don't even want to fight with each other. They just want to go about their day and live their lives.
Yeah, dude.
And it's sad that, there's a very large majority of people that feel now that they can't do so, that it gets to them so much where it eats up their day-to-day life and they're over consumed by it. Where, I mean, I have been there, you know what I mean? Like it's ate up me a lot. And even while like the whole thing with Charlie happened, that ate me up for a few days. I was very it almost like I was upset, like
Yeah.
angry about it. Like it was like I wanted some kind of resolution to happen almost immediately. I think that's a big thing that we want as humans is like everything to be resolved immediately. It's like that natural feeling and that dreadfulness of it just being carried out and all this misinformation coming out. Like it really made me stop, man, like take a step back, and really think about where I'm going in this life. What's my ultimate goal? You know what I mean? And that's ultimately leads me to Christ every time. Every time. Every single time.
Dude just segued his way back to Christ. That was so beautiful though. I just thought I'd take a second.
I
I was
mean,
like, whoa. But yeah, no, you're right, because on another level, like your faith is being tested too.
it is.
Because it's
It is.
not just here in the States where like we're starting to feel a little bit warmer in the kitchen. And it's like, why is that? And then you look around at other states and um, st- you've got Dearborn, Michigan, for one instance, where oh man, it's you got to tap dance this because it's instances that make you worry. It's not the whole. And I'm
Right,
not trying to like broad strokes for everyone because I know there's beautiful people, but there's always the instances of extremes that need to be held accountable before they manifest into something that's way worse and way more chaotic. Because like right now, it could be a lot worse. It probably is being handled as it comes,
right,
and I'm not gonna knock that at all. I have no insight. I don't know. I think they're doing a great job with what they have, but it is getting worrisome for some areas where it feels like they're in a PvP server where they're just
right.
out there solo because the government's given up on them. And then I'm only laughing because like we reference it as a PvP server, but that's kind of what it is at this point until the government can get a handle on it.
Yeah, and it is so crazy. And I honestly, like, I'm not somebody that blames video games by any means. I think there's definitely a healthy balance that, everything can have. But when media, like I'm talking more of like the media, really throws you these gory headlines, or, you're witnessing all of these atrocities that happen. As young kids, other young kids end up subjecting their friends to, like gore videos, stuff like that, stuff that a lot of people have seen at this point. And, whether we like to admit it or not, it is damaging. It is numbing. It's kind of, I always explain it like the circus. It's like, you always go to the circus when the circus comes to town. Well, now the circus is always here. It's
Yeah.
always here. We're always viewing the circus, man. Like, that's just how it is.
Oh shit. I was I like I think of it differently. Like this is I think of the infinite snake eating its tail
Yeah,
where it's just a vicious you can't look away. But
right.
when you look upon it, it feels like it chips your soul.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then like we saw that with, what had just happened publicly. And that was the one I thought that the craziest, not the craziest thing about the whole subject, but one of the more crazier things about all of that that happened was that everybody saw it. Like you could pick somebody out in a crowd and you were just like, "Hey, did you see what happened?" And they were just like, "Yeah, I wish I didn't."
Yeah.
I mean, like that's I think that now, unfortunately, has set that bar even higher. You know what I mean? Now that bar of like what we've witnessed, now we're a little bit more numb.
Oh, like Pandora's box, yeah.
Yeah.
Where like now that we've been publicly exposed to it as
Right.
yeah, I got
Yeah.
you. I got
And,
you.
and there's no closing that anymore. It's done. And
Well, that's also where I worry about on the religious aspect is because we have this guy earlier this year who steps up and says he's the Mahdi, but all that's doing is making you a little more numb to someone who claims to be the Antichrist.
yeah, that
Because
isn't,
like
yeah, wow, that's a good point too. Yeah.
Because yeah, he was claiming that he was the fulfillment of, uh, um, oh man, what's his name? The Islamic, or not Islamic, the Muslim prophet. I'm not trying to slander him.
Is it Muhammad?
There you go, Muhammad. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that like I don't want to slander them or their gods because that's disrespectful, and I prefer to be respectful to all people, regardless if I agree with them or not.
Right. Right.
Like I will be until uh I will be peaceful until peace is no longer an option.
Right. And that's the big key right there. It speaks. that, if a robber breaks into your house and you strike him with a fatal blow, you're not at fault for that. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
are
especially if your intention wasn't to kill him. It was just
right.
to
Yeah.
stop him.
Right. If your intention is not of malintent, right?
It
There are
just is. It is. It's just. It is. It's.
right. And it really makes you think of, especially of the old martyrs um, from early times that died without even a fight. I mean, we have Saint
Oh
Focus that,
yeah.
he dug his own grave while the soldiers slept in his house and he fed them and he prayed all night within his grave and they still killed him.
Yeah.
Um, but that really goes to show you that, well, what is of this world? What can you take with you? You can't take anything with you. You know what I mean? It is truly like, especially in monastic monks, it's that idea of being of the world, but not being in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You've died before you have died. You have given everything up for Christ to endure what he has went through, those pains that everybody thinks that going to a monastery and being a monk would be super peaceful, but those they fast, they work hours and hours of grueling sweat a day, and no contact with the outside world whatsoever. You know what I mean? All of in constant prayer. It is constant prayer. You know what I mean? So,
And we're not even touching on like people target them,
oh,
even
that's
though they don't do anything. They
that's
try and take
that's
their land from them by modern means.
yeah,
And so
that's
it's
wrong.
it yeah, there's some right now that I'm like tracking and I'm trying to figure out how to like get involved and help prevent, but it seems like they're being what our version of oh my God, dude, I'm blanking on the government terms now that I'm trying to use them, even though I'm a criminal justice major.
Like, are you speaking of like being,
Eminent domain.
yeah.
Eminent domain, yeah. That they're trying to eminent domain them and then they got past that and now they're trying to land tax them out of it. It's wild. It's not happening here in the States. I just don't if I say where it is, it's really bad.
Yeah, and I'll say too, a lot of things that people don't know is that here in the States there are actually quite a few monasteries. And as a pilgrim, if you would like to pilgrim to these monasteries and stay for a few nights and speak with these monks, you can do so. If you're curious, or even if you're in a weird place in life and you just want to go somewhere where there's just silence and you can speak to these monks about life, about Christ, about whatever problems that you're having. And these men and women both, they can help you incredibly because their line of focus, they're so close to God. It is unreal. They're so, everything within their heart is out except Christ. They have flooded their heart with Christ and have just opened the floodgates underneath and let everything out. We as people will still always, no matter what, will still deal with, with hatred. We'll still deal with lust. We'll still deal with all of these temptations that we have. But these people that have dedicated their lives to doing this and only this, I truly believe that their path of theosis, or they are much further down the path of theosis than, say, somebody like, you or me. We follow Christ, we do, but these people have taken it to an extraordinary extent to honor him and to live his life and not suffer like he did, uh, but try their best in a sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Well, to your understanding, what is theosis to them? Because it sounds like you've either been around them or you've watched enough to formulate an opinion on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think theosis within the Western world, unless you've studied things like Orthodoxy, and it is mentioned in Catholicism, I believe, as well, but it is essentially the idea that as you grow closer with God, as you continue your path with Christ and go through life, and you understand what it is teaching more, you become more theologically versed. You do better at recognizing sin, you do better at repentance. you start to become godlike. You are not God and you never will be God. But as our path grows further and further down the line, and as we walk further and further down that line, we become like him. And to their understanding, this is the purpose of life. It is the idea that you were put here in order to repent. You were put here in order to embark on your journey of theosis. And that is how you are able to spend eternity with him. And the way that God was able to achieve this was reincarnating into man, Jesus Christ, who was crucified on Calvary.
Hmm.
This was the ultimate goal. And I truly believe this as well. I grew up Wesleyan Methodist. I tried out Catholicism for a while. Nothing pulled me in like Orthodoxy did. And it wasn't even like a lot of people when they go to an Orthodox church, you know what I mean? They're confused that there's not all this dancing funk and music going on and all these crazy things.
Trust me,
Um,
as someone who's been to everything from Catholic churches to Messianic synagogues, I, I've I've seen a lot.
yeah, yeah. And I personally like I think as everybody is a brother in Christ. We're talking Protestants, we're talking
Yeah,
Catholics, we're talking Orthodox.
yeah.
We are brothers
I'm
in
not
Christ.
putting anyone
No,
down.
no, right.
Yeah,
But I think that we ha as people have just let so many different schisms happen. And it could be local, it could be your own church that it happens to, or it could be on a grand scale like what we've seen with Russia and Constantinople, which is Istanbul now. But we're seeing a break off from them because of the war with the Ukraine. They didn't want to recognize Ukraine as their own church. And this is one of the big reasons why I personally had decided to step away from Russian jurisdiction. I didn't feel that it was right for them to bless the war in Ukraine.
hmm,
And I thought that was a direct violation against what our church fathers taught and what Jesus Christ taught, especially. That's number one. So that's a whole different thing, schisms and all that. But I believe that we've kind of gotten so far down the line that we've forgot the true purpose.
hmm.
And that is that we all need to become one. And even like for today, there's a lot of people that were hating on what happened at the church today because it was a Latter-day Saint church. Let me remind every Christian that that is wrong no matter what. You need to feel sorrowful for these people. These people were sitting in their church and practicing their worship in their way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, I don't agree. I'm not going to say that I agree with them, but there is no way that I can believe that they deserved anything like that.
No, because who's
So,
to say what God's plan was for them except God?
and that brings up a whole other point of something that's been on my mind recently, and that is undermining God because he gave us free will. He gave you and I the choice to choose whatever we want to choose. If we want to accept him into our heart, we can do so. But
100%.
the moment that we start taking things away from people, what are we doing? Are we undermining him? Are we saying that, well, he gave you this, but I'm going to take that away. I'm going to take that away.
Oh
In a
yeah.
way that is egoism, that's pride, that's self-worship. Um, so that it's very important to note to noticeably see the difference between that. And I think a lot of that is happening within churches as well. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times it kind of becomes like a almost a power struggle, especially and people might get mad at me for saying this, but nationalist. I really don't think that it should be mixed in. I think religion should be one thing, and what a nation is what that nation is.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, because even scripture quotes that you shall prosper the nation, so the nation shall prosper you. It doesn't
correct.
say that you have to claim fealty to that. It never says that.
Right.
It
You're
just says
absolutely
be kind and help them.
right. And there's a lot of arguments too when you get into like taxes and I will always quote, well, what is Caesar's? If you flip that coin around and you see Caesar's head on it, right? You give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, right? So and Jesus said that specifically. So what is theirs give to theirs, essentially. And
Yeah.
if you live within a country that protects you, if you live within borders that you want to see grow, you want to see a better, prosperous nation, then you need to also be a part of your community. You need to be a part of your nation. And that is another thing that a lot of people will get mixed up. And that's not to say that you can't hold your Christian values into that. You
Hmm.
can. But again, when you start forcing these ideas onto people, well, then we are no better than those of old Islam that forced their way through the sword and blood. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
not to say that that's what's happening now, but this is what happened in history. You know what I mean? There was a lot of bloodshed on all sides. I mean, for the longest time, the Pope was not allowed to make a pilgrimage into the Holy Land because of the Fourth Crusade and the
Yeah.
fact that Rome had turned on Constantinople on its own.
Well, we have recent events of, um, if it's not higher now, the last time I saw it was 7,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria in the past 5 years. And then in Africa, they're being hunted down. It happens in the Middle East pretty consistently. And I don't have to speak that to you. You know that. You were in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the martyrdom situations that
no, I
continue
know.
to spread across the countries, and this is one of the big reasons why I say that I think it's super important to attend liturgy or to attend your Sunday service is because, man, like we're starting to see blood spill within churches. You know what I mean? And there might come a time where it might have to go back to how it was as early Christians, where we would do church homes, where we wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to practice in public because of the fear of being killed, the fear of being, our own blood being spilled for practicing our faith, you
Well,
know.
to that, to that, we have to stand up. We can't allow
Absolutely.
them
I
to
absolutely
push us back into homes because
agree.
I mean, some of these countries have to take back their country first. Like,
Right.
because we got a couple English speaking countries that have Sharia law in them, even
Yeah.
though they're supposed to be democratic, which is antithetical to each other.
Right.
So it really doesn't.
It doesn't work out.
Yeah, it kind of has pushed the issue to the breaking point where you have to respond now,
Right.
or you will have no way to respond soon.
Right. And that's just it. And something to be noted is that uh it was never tolerance was never an option, no matter what. We've never been a tolerant religion. You know what I mean? We recognize sin where sin is. We tell people to repent where it is needed. It is told of us to judge righteously, right?
Yeah.
So because of this, for things like the First Crusade, now I don't necessarily agree with the calling of what the Pope Urban II had essentially said to the people that if you partake within this holy war, then your sins will be expunged forever,
Oh
which
yeah.
is not as it shouldn't have been said.
Mm-mm.
However, it is to be noted that the Byzantines were pushed into a very dire situation, and the Byzantines at that time seemed to be their own worst enemy. They kept
Yeah.
turning on each other, power struggles, and different things like that. Alexander, he rose to power and he was a fantastic leader. He is. But through all of this, what he didn't expect was such an unorganized army from the West, including men, women, children, all of these different things. You know what I mean? But once the princes arrived, once they arrived and they pushed back the invaders, I mean, this was necessary. It absolutely was necessary. And I will
Mm-hmm.
never, ever go back on my word to say that this was necessary. We were losing ground in fast. The Byzantines, the Orthodox Church was losing ground fast.
Well, do you know who the I don't know. Hold on. I gotta catch myself real quick. Uh, sometimes my brain goes like boop boop boop
I'm always
boop.
there, always.
um, did you say who came in? the Khazarians.
So it was a sultan that had pushed in, and I can't put a name on the sultan that was pushing his Rome or his army in and pushing towards Constantinople. And at one point there was an agreement between Alexander and the Sultan of it was a Middle Eastern country. And when that agreement was settled, Alexander went back to Constantinople, and what happened was the invaders disregarded and continued to push into the countryside.
Yeah.
There that happened. And then when we move down the line when it comes to like the Battle of Antioch, which was down the line a few battles into the Crusade, the Battle of Antioch was supported by the Sultan of Baghdad.
Okay.
So that was one of the sultans that had responded to the cry of Antioch. Antioch was a gruesome, bloody war, very bloody war where both Christians and Muslims died, and that wasn't just, even the Christians that lived within Antioch fell to the sword of other Christians because in the nighttime, in the haze of battle, they didn't know who to spare. Once they
And
were
dysentery.
Yeah, dysentery ran rampant, rampant. It was terrible.
That was the real killer.
I always think about like even outside of the Crusades, the types of wars that man had waged back then and how
Dude,
brutal they
they
are
would
to
throw the dead bodies with the infected just
rottenness.
yeah, dude, just cesspool. They'd be like, "All right, now send it over the wall to infect everyone."
Yeah.
And
Not only was it a mind fuck, because like they're launching corpses at these people and then they're getting sick,
yeah,
you know?
I mean, think about it. We are sitting down in the same timeline where that happened, and we're talking about it like it's not able to happen today,
Yeah, that is
or
the
that
other,
it does happen today. Like it's
right?
some. I was watching 2 days ago. I was watching a dispute be settled in Africa with bows and arrows. They were
Yeah.
shooting each other with bows and arrows on this very day.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, yeah, I forget that this is also like multiple things are true at the same time. You know?
Yeah. And it seems the grimness of it seems that that is actually what human reality is, and what we're living is just something that could come to an end. It could end at any minute.
Well, that's where everyone this is my biggest point that I am so glad was said organically. No man knows the day nor the hour of the end of the heavens and the earth. And that is what it is referencing. It is not referencing the rapture because they already spoke upon the rapture, and it is not even called the rapture. That was a call in the 1800s to organize the Christians under something positive instead of damnation.
Right.
But
And
sorry, go
it,
ahead.
I mean, with that being said, too, even if we don't know the time, we don't know the hour, we'll never know. Um, w- we live every day like it is. We live for Christ every day like it is, and forever
Sorry,
and always. That's
dude.
it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, every day. That's why it like it made my heart flutter because it was like, dude, exactly, because he calls us to have eyes up every day and
Right.
expect that the Lord is near so that we can prepare the way. I'm not trying to rhyme.
No, no, no.
Yeah, so that way we can prepare the way because he says, who will prepare or make way, who will prepare the way for the Lord? And it it's just like the way I think about it. And for the longest time, I didn't think of it this way. It's only been like the past year and a half where like I've been purposefully and consciously trying to walk with the Lord. And it's just, it's so amazing that out of all the times and all the places, and all the possibilities, we ended up here where it appears to be the beginning of the end and where we have a not zero chance of seeing our creator come back down from the firmament. So,
Right.
dude, any day it could happen, and everyone is acknowledging that.
Yeah.
And that's
And
exciting. And they're like,
and people feel it, man. I like what has happened within the last month, and it's been tragedy after tragedy, but it has been pull after pull. It has been the spiritual, the Holy Spirit tugging back people that have forgotten, right? This idea of nihilism, man, this idea that nothing exists, the idea of materialistic things, all these different things, man. It has led a whole generation to believe that nothing is there. Now suicide is running rampant. Lust is running rampant. At any minute, as humans, we can just go on the internet and grab what we want to grab as far as pornography, materials, photos, videos, gore, whatever it may be. And this is all part of human greed, the big thing, human greed. We just take more and more and more.
well, you're saying prophetic things without even realizing it. Like you're quoting prophetic references using modern interpretations without even like trying to. You're describing um you're describing in like I'll reference Enoch just because I read all scripture. I believe that all scripture or all books are for man to get an understanding of the word of the Father. It's not for us to determine what is and is not of God because it is his will and we can't seem to understand. But it reminded me like it I could see it in my head. It was like Enoch references seeing pillars of light in the clouds of darkness that surrounded the earth. So even though the earth was covered in clouds, even though everything on the earth seemed to be going wrong, there were still areas within the earth where there was light, pillars of light coming from the saints.
Yeah,
The saints were still giving everything they had to the betterment of the kingdom, even though everything burned, everything cried, everything cursed. They still gave nothing but love. And that
yeah,
I learned about a different saint yesterday. And I forgot to reference the prophetic things you were saying. You were mentioning the beast system without even having to, because people being able to access the same information from any point in the world would be the fallen information coming down or the AI models that we know now, because you can ask it its interpretation on anything. But that interpretation is based off of large language models that were coded by a person with bias and a
right.
company with bias and a company with intent. And there's a not zero chance and there's a very high probability that they want to subliminally control you to buy more, to do more, or to act a certain way that's beneficial to them that
I,
you don't even understand yet.
absolutely. And I as I was I was an AI engineer for about a year there. And I will say, man, when it comes to data, data is one of those super touchy subjects that when you talk to people about, they always get put off because, like, obviously, you don't want all of your data just out there, everything that you've
Mm-mm.
ever done, right? So they have this argument, well, then, well, what do we do? Because large data is very hard to come by. When I was doing image recognition work for satellites, it was very hard for us to find a lot of different images of these satellites. It was hard to find, especially. the one satellite and then thousands of images, because when you're training one of these models, you use such large data sets and you
Yeah.
have to keep repetitively running these photos through what we call epochs. And we keep doing that over and over. There could be 100, and it's through this massive machine, but the data that you need is so enormous. So it seems like at this point, in order for these companies to acquire this large data, they have to step on toes. And that's
Yeah.
their argument. And that, regardless of, what their argument is, I don't think that that's right. I don't think that that should be true, you
Yeah.
know?
And I'm going to play devil's advocate just for the sake of this, because I agree. I don't think that they should be allowed to do it the way that they're doing it. I think there's a way to go about it that's both efficient, effective, and won't kill people. But what do I know? I'm just a guy who has significantly less money.
Right.
Anyways, um, shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. What were we talking about before I went on my little rant?
Just AI data and the idea that I don't believe that it is right that they can just impede and then just step on people's toes
Ah,
for
yes,
data.
yes, 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 yes. I remember what my point was. Okay, so I'll play the devil's advocate that I see just from the electronic warfare perspective. Um, we're very close to getting invaded. There's no way around that. Um, everyone is postured accordingly. Um, we cannot lose the AI front, or we will for sure lose. And and I think that's where they're putting all their chips. And I think that China just wanted to scare us by dropping DeepSeek when they did, especially after we just did like 100 trillion investment. They're like, oh, we can make it cheaper, and then all that's gonna do is piss off Trump to make him do even more with it. So,
Yeah, and it is a very slippery slope, especially the military industrial complex, because that is one thing that refuses to slow down. And no matter what, it
well, it
is,
changes, it adjusts and
oh,
changes.
yeah,
So like you could figure out that they have all your metadata like we have, and we could write regulations for it. But they're just gonna switch over to a different uh open market, as they would say, and just monetize something else. So like before, they didn't have your time. Then they got your time with that phone. They didn't have your access to your thoughts and opinions yet, but now we're getting Neuralink, and now we're willfully talking to AI and allowing it to think for us.
right.
And so it's just like they know not what they do.
Yeah. And the further that we go down the line, and this is another thing that is like Pandora's box. You know what I mean? It has been opened. It has been
Over and over,
introduced.
man. We got to
And
be predictive on security because,
yeah,
like, these people haven't stopped. The research has never stopped. They're just flipping to the next page you haven't done yet. And fuck, I mean, dang, I'm really trying to cut down on how much I curse. I'm significantly
me
better.
too. Me too, man. Me too. It is a struggle every day. Every day, man. Every
But
day.
I don't there is a way to thread the needle through all of this without having to go into hyperledgers from Palantir where they have an IP address and an IP tag on everything. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to live in that. That sounds immediately like the Antichrist.
Right. And not just that, but it's the idea of this digital currency and this idea of like I've heard a lot of people say things like, oh, well, gold is going to go to zero and all of these things. And like I will say, nations have rose and fell, and gold has constantly went up,
Oh yeah, dude. Since
always.
since the beginning of time, gold has held the same value,
Right. And
if
because
if
of
not
that,
gone up.
yeah. And it's it's insane to think that people think that, oh, well, this digital currency is going to fix everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, here's my say to that. If you think that the digital currency is going to fix that, then one, you don't understand the markets enough. Two, you don't understand the game that's being played against you. And three, you don't even know who the players in the game are.
right, right. You know,
Because this a fiat currency can never replace the backing currency.
right.
It's,
That is it. That is the truth. That is it right there, is that the fiat currency will continuously fall every
yeah.
time.
it's I that's one of the funner uh arguments to do because like after Charlie Kirk got assassinated, I did join TPUSA
Mhm.
and I want to see them do well. I want to help out any way I can. I mean, I'm already in a school, so I figured why not join a chapter. I just
Right.
realized that I was in a Discord channel on the side too. I gotta get out of that before someone joins it. Um, don't worry. The only people in it are like Earthright and uh who else? I don't even think anybody else from Deco's in there. I think it's just Earth.
Hey man, more the merrier, I guess.
I
Yeah.
know. Well, no, if Earth jumps in here, then all of his friends from all around are jumping in. Dude is so friendly and so genuine that everyone loves him and they can't
Got
dude, it
got
can't
friends
stop him.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. He's just so he's so friendly. Sorry, that was the ugliest laugh I've ever done.
Hey man, it sounded full of joy. Yeah.
Oh man. Um, crap, what was I gonna say? Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've been doing a lot of looking in, well, I should say I started in psychology and meditations basically
Okay, yeah.
after Afghanistan because I will say this. I was so depressed without knowing it for so long that I didn't realize that I was running on empty. And then when I started, because I never lost faith in God, it was just like I didn't have the energy to make the call.
Yeah. Yep. I get what you mean. And
But
I,
like I could think it. I could be like, hey, I'm here again. I don't know how I'm here again, but I need some help for a little bit. And
and from the time that I was 17 years old, I was an atheist. I mean, at that point, I was just like, I don't know, I don't believe anything exists. I bit off the piece of that fruit that the rest of the youth is biting into, and that is that nihilism, man, that gross
yeah,
nihilism
yeah,
bug, man. And I will say, I found Christ again in Iraq. You know what I mean? That was when I had went back to the Middle East for my second time. That was when I was like, all right, I need him. There
yeah,
was no doubt in my mind that I needed him. And it was like, it wasn't even a question in my mind from this whole time that I was an atheist, believing that nothing existed, to just immediately realizing that I need this person. This person has to be in my life.
yeah.
And this Holy Spirit has to be in my life. The Creator has to be in my life. And because of that, that is what drew me back. And I can't imagine, I can't even begin to think of where my headspace would have been if I would have had to go back. Because like I got out and you guys did that. I got out and that whole thing ensued, and I was standing in the grocery store and I was still registered to the call. And actually, Bobby, my roommate, he was also registered still to the call, and our phones go off. We both look at each other. We're like, no way, no way. We're calling everybody. The first person we get a hold of is Flanagan.
Yeah.
And we're like, yo, hey man, like what in the world is going on? And I can't even really recall what he said, but he said that like they're going, you guys are going. And
Yeah.
like I was like, I stayed up for days, man. And then when I heard about the 13 people killed, I was freaking out. I immediately ran into Bobby's room. I was like, bro, 13 people were just blown up in Afghanistan, where our boys are. I had no idea the units that were there. I thought it was just you guys responding. So immediately in my head, I was like, that's 13 people that I know.
Yeah.
And I was devastated. And I'm still devastated for the fact that those 13 people lost their lives over something so crazy, so haptic, and it shouldn't have been that way. And the stories that I have been told from my friends, the calls that I get at 3, 4 in the morning, man, they break my heart because I can't believe that you guys had to endure something like that. And this whole time, the whole time that I'm in the military, I'm thinking, oh, well, our war in the Middle East is coming to an end, and everything is starting to become like the fighting seasons that everybody talked about. They didn't really happen anymore, and all this combat, it didn't. People weren't going door to door like they were back in the day. So I thought that it was just going to be a slow fizzle out, but the end was just a cannon. You know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
that again, it just continuously breaks my heart because I can't believe these things ensued. The stories that I've heard, um, the other people that have been on this podcast that I've talked to, and I talked to Lane Peters about this too, and like it was like I couldn't believe, like I was being serious. I could not believe what I was hearing. Like it was so out.
There's there's uh there's still some things that we don't know if it's safe to talk about just because um with the Tim situation, we don't know if that's being investigated. I don't even know what the hell's happening, like, because he's being investigated for what is it? Stolen valor for a bronze star. And I think that like stemmed from the anti-hero podcast because this dude named Brent called him out, and evidently Brent was a Delta operator. But no, yeah, we were on the gate, and we were the force that stopped the three buses from going through of unvetted civilians because of a person. But um I mean, that's not conjecture. Like, there on I was the force that stopped it. Like, I remember I was pissed because I wanted a Sprite. That's not
Yeah.
like, like I had been up all night and we were shooting the shit with. I still think that one of the medics that we saw earlier in the night was one of the medics that ended up passing, but it would have been the female because I remember that they had to call for other people to vet or to examine the females because females can only examine females,
Yeah.
and it, we're not even gonna fight that. It's
Yeah.
an easy fix.
Yeah. Right.
um, but I thought one of them was her, and then I was talking to a corpsman who resembled one of the guys who had passed. So that was messing with me the day after because we didn't even know what happened. The force that was all right, I have to get this straight so I'm not confusing people. Um, we stopped the three buses a couple hours before the bombs went off just north of where we were at. Like, we were at North Gate and Abbey Gate was like at our 1 o'clock. And that was like a couple hundred yards, if not like less than that. It, and I mean, I could be off by like one gate, but I'm not far because I remember doing a patrol to it, part of being on that north gate. because I had already gotten into it with this officer about riling up that side of the gate, and then I was gonna have to deal with it by using a banger, and I didn't want to do that. But uh, it evolved. It was a complex issue because I'm making it sound simple, but he came at me because I wasn't wearing my combat patch.
What?
Yeah. So it could have been as simple as me doing that, but what actually happened was I went over there, asked him to move because there was a guy on top of the tower. He proceeded to tell me to get bent, and I was like, "Listen, sir, we're the ones providing the security. I'm the NCO that's over here that's being nice. I'm gonna send PSG next if you don't want to listen."
I'm gonna go get dad.
I'm just tired, man. I was just tired. At that point, we had been dealing with all the shit. And like we'd been on and off of emergency response. We'd been up for 3 days straight in the beginning. We had already dealt with a plane hijacking and like we were tired. We, and I will say this, so there's a little bit more context on it. PSG was coming from being stuck in Germany for like 2 days. We were
Oh,
in
wow.
country with no idea what was going on. My, we didn't have a PSG at the time. First platoon didn't. We didn't have a PSG, so our section lead popped up, filled in, did a good job. Um, but even in times where like we were had a break, we would stop and we'd go, dude, I wish Dad was here because like, dude, this is wild as fuck. Because
Yeah,
you're trying to break the tension with the comedy. Like that's always
yeah.
how I want to do it. I don't ever want my guys to think that I'm down in the shitter, even if on the inside I have nothing left to give.
Yeah, and that was a big, big thing that I had to personally reflect on when the call to Iraq had happened and
Oof.
nerves were flying all over the place. And like I'm just sitting in the cough just like straight-eyed. You know what I mean? And like
Oh
I
yeah.
what I didn't realize was that there was so many younger guys around me that were looking to me, somebody that already had a combat patch, and
Hmm.
looking to me, and that feeling wore off on them. Even to people, even to like Gino that had
Yeah.
already had a combat patch and had already seen different things, he saw me and was like, "Oh shit." Like, and I should have been more mindful. I should have been more prepared as a leader to say, okay, well, you know what I mean? This is what we're here for. This is what I signed up to do. This is what you signed up to do. Regardless if this is what we want to do or not, we're here and we have to deal with it. We have to be
Yeah.
men about this. And that is something that I look back on a lot. And I think, well, that's a learning point. That's something that I need to recognize as somebody that now has experience, that if somebody is looking to me for guidance, I can't be that person. I can't be that private that's scared. I can't be that,
Yeah.
that person that's just, oh, you know what I mean? Like that was something that I quickly had to get a hold of myself on and reflect.
Yeah. I will. Uh, I can sympathize. I can't. I'm not trying to be humble. I'm gonna paint a picture after. It's just my dad was very good at beating resilience into you. Not like physically. He wasn't out there like get your fucking no, no, no. It was always know your strength, know when to stop, and if it's not time, then give it back 100.
Yeah,
And so that was what he pushed in. And so I I don't let my own thoughts stop me because if I let it root, then I have to pull harder.
right.
And so I've always tried to even when I get the shit knocked out of me, like in lacrosse, I blew out my quad because someone hit me from behind. But as soon as I did it, I like positioned my back so I could bounce off and just go straight into the sidelines without having to do.
Happen.
And and I would always just find like there's always an instance in the moment where you can choose. It's very quick. You can choose to give or to take. And I've just never allowed that moment to go to take. It's always been give. And it's so bad because um the Lord has to come and get me when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
and that
true.
is exactly why I'm retired because he has to come and get me. Like I was in Ranger school or not Ranger school in RASP and I was sick. I was throwing up and I I'd been hit in the head with the rubber duck or not rubber duck. It was actually a real M4 because we were doing the 6 mile ruck run, and it was hot as shit. It was so hot that we were just wearing t-shirts with rucks on,
Yeah.
and someone had hit me in the face, and it busted open my face. I had already thrown up twice because I was sick, but I didn't want to miss this cycle and then have to wait another 3 months and get my shit pushed in
Yeah.
at pre-rasp.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was ready to go. And dude, it was one after the other. I was getting smacked up and then he was having me do the Indian run around it. And I mean, if you've gone through RAS, you know everybody's going to get part of it, either whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
And he was messing with me because we were going back up Cardiac Hill for
Ooh.
like the fourth or was it the fourth or fifth time. Did I just do that? Sorry. For the fourth or fifth time. I don't even know how that happened. My cat's not over here. I didn't touch anything. Nothing fell. That's pretty that's pretty funny.
Must be some kind of hotkey or something.
It must be. Maybe the Lord just wanted to say, yeah, that was
Do
me. Sorry
something.
about that. Yeah. 'Cause that one hurt, man. 'Cause he beat me down. Like he beat me to the point where I had to admit that I was done or I was gonna do permanent damage. 'Cause they kicked me into a ditch and I had a concussion. I knew I had a concussion 'cause I lost time. And when I came to, I was in the infirmary and they basically said you can either drop or we can med drop you. And I was like, okay, I drop. So I came back in and I'm bleeding, but but now I have color again.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude. And then I got sent to the 82nd. I called my mom after because my mom, she was still alive and she hadn't gotten diagnosed with cancer yet. So she was still doing um physique bodybuilding or training to do it. And my step or her boyfriend was a ranger. And so I called them just in pieces, telling them what happened. And I was like, I had to, or else I was gonna just kill myself because like if I kept I don't know what would have happened because at that point like how much more damage was I willing to take.
Yeah, we had a kid that during one of the rucks at the very end of it, I can't remember what this kid's name was. It started with an H, but he ended up he ended up reading a temperature of 108 degrees at the end of a ruck. Something that's like brain melting, something that
Yeah,
like kills people. And they
106 starts melting your stuff.
yeah, and they told him, they said like, look, man, you can't do this anymore. And
Yeah.
then I don't even know if they continued to let him be infantry because like that's a serious
Yeah.
issue that happens, you know what I mean? So
Here, I'll give you one more because this is how like he always shows himself by making me stop because I went to electronic warfare school
mm,
and I failed the final test by 2 questions and I was trying so hard to study and to like learn that I would go from class. Like we started class after PT at about like 8:39 and you went inside of a vault so you weren't allowed to have a phone, you weren't allowed to have anything, but you're allowed to have a notepad. And so we would go in there and we would stay in and do like little breaks where you come back out, but you still have your notepad. And so I'd take my notepad and I'd be studying and walking around and trying to just memorize it. And then I would come back after we got out, which was usually around like 4 or 5, usually 5, closer to 6. And then we would go back to the hotel where they were holding us, which this is in Oklahoma. And I would study from the time I came back from dinner until 1 or 2 a.m. Uh, and I that time includes studying with the people who were also in the class, and then going back to my room and doing flashcards and interactive learning on the computer to try and do it until 2 or 3, and then turning around and waking up and doing PT at 6. So I take it very serious. I don't take things lightly. Like yeah, he has to come and get me every time because I try and do my best to the best of my ability at whatever I'm given, just so that way when I come home I can look at him and be like, "You won't believe what I did."
Yeah. And I had through school, so for example, like calculus especially, when I was learning calculus, man, it was to an unhealthy extent. Like I would study, but I would study so much that it was like becoming detrimental. So like before my exam, the night before, bro, no sleep. I wouldn't sleep the
Oh
whole
shit.
night, and then I'd go to the exam not having slept, and I'd just chug a big ass Red Bull. My heart's just doing weird ass shit, dude.
Oh, you so no, okay. Yeah, you got to be smarter, dude.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
was like committed and
Okay.
I would break it down into sections.
Yeah.
Each day was 3 different sections where you could get 3 different forms out. But the day before a test, that was a no-go. I understood the sleep schedule where I was like, if anything, the night before is the one where I'm not fucking around. We're taking PMs. We're doing whatever we need to go to bed.
Yeah. And
Because
I had
I had way too many mess ups in areas that didn't need to have a mess up just because of sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was something that I had to really start to look at and say, like, hey, like I made it through Calc 1. Calc 2 was a different story. The first time that I took Calc 2, I went into it with that same mindset and I failed. I failed that class.
Oh, dude, I failed the shit out of Calc 1.
I mean, the thing is I passed Calc 1 by the skin of my teeth. Like it was just a passing. So I think that there's definitely a big difference in somebody that passes with an A and then passes
Yeah.
with a D.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the understanding is different.
Right.
There's one thing that that I think everyone should do in life, and it's called, or there's one book everyone should read, and it's called I'm
The
gonna
whole
mess this up.
Bible.
Well, yeah, the Bible, but
Yeah,
like there's also great literature that's outside of the Bible that
absolutely. Absolutely.
reinforces the Bible, but in different context, like in different context. No, it's just like in different regional tones, but it reinforces it. Like I'll use this one, the seven deadly sins,
Mm,
when compared to the chakras, they're pretty similar. And the understanding of how
yeah,
to get through each of them is pretty similar. Like it both admits that you must seek inward in order to deal with the matters of the flesh and reserve that to what is higher for which is higher.
right.
So I
Absolutely.
mean, like in their own terms, that's what they're getting at. Is resolving your own trauma so that way you can get to uh compliance with the Lord. But
Right.
dude, I get so I get so caught up, and I have to do this because my ADHD never lets me forget. Anytime I mention the sins, to to my understanding, the first sin wasn't the sin in the garden; it was the sin in heaven, the fall of Lucifer the first time.
As he was jealous of man.
Yes, so he somehow caught a glimpse of himself, and the blossom of sin was sown in him. He became thinking, I'm so beautiful. I'm so prideful. I
Ego,
can be God.
right?
Dude.
Absolutely.
And then um and then he started talking and speaking and started creating sin into others. And so that couldn't be allowed to fruition, so he was sent out.
Right.
And then the curse or and then excuse me, the sin in the garden took his legs as penance. He is take dude, it gets wild. Like the more I read, the more I'm like, holy crap. So well, first off, I was like, okay, so dragons are real. That means I 100% can be Excalibur. That was the first thing I did. I was like, once I get past being goofy, I can start taking everything serious. But first, it's like I have to goofy it because like I wasn't raised um I didn't ask enough questions as a child. I didn't ask enough questions is how I should put it. Because like it wasn't for lack of opportunity, it was for lack of understanding. And there was a little bit of lack of time. My dad didn't want us to have very much free time because we were very aware that we had free will.
Yeah.
Uh, but dude, I wish I could have gotten like I don't think I would have had the same interest in asking questions then as I do now, but I do have intrigues into like the deeper things of literature and scripture that I can't bring to a normal person just like off the street. I can't
Yeah.
be like, so hey, when Moses is on top of the mountain, why is no one else allowed up there and see God? Because that allows an opportunity to be claimed by the enemy and say, like, well, we don't know if that's God because no one else was allowed up there. And then the tablets have been lost to time for now until the final time when they're supposed to arise as written by God.
Yeah.
Sorry, I fulfill my own things when I say it. I don't like to leave it open.
No, absolutely. And I that whole thing about like taking it to people on the street, you're absolutely correct. I think a lot of times, especially in today's society, when you bring these questions to people, they often, it's funny, it seems like science is the new religion, where
100%.
it again, as a scientist, and this is the fallacy of science, as somebody that had studied science for a long time, I always got the question of what is this? The physical realm is what science studies, but when we left out philosophy, when we
Hmm.
left out the study of these other things, this science, right, it rose as philosophy continues to transgress, it continues to move away.
Yeah.
And this is the ultimate problem because science answers the what, religion answers the why.
Yeah.
That is the big thing to take away from that. And that science, nothing is a definitive answer. Science doesn't prove anything. All science is theories from evidence that we have gathered thus far, some creating good models, others creating very off the wall ideas, but ideas nonetheless that sometimes do challenge a certain thing here in this model or this or that. And the thing is that these models are constantly changing. But Christ is the same as he was then, now, and forever, for always. And
Yeah.
that is the big thing is people tend to forget that there is a whole other side of this study that is now being left out. So they've been told science is the way their whole life, but never told why. They've never been told why they're here, and that is why that big push for nihilism is the way that it is.
Yeah, the seek. Oh, that you know what? I have a great way of explaining this. The search for purpose.
Mm,
Um. Oh man, hold on. Let me collect my thoughts for this one, because so many good things, so many things you touched on that were so just can be expanded upon in such a beautiful way. Yeah. Um. Well, they lack the understanding of their heritage, and then science has gone the way of not only obfuscating anything that has to do with perception and consciousness, but they've obfuscated anything that has to do with corporeal beings, such as the spirit world or interdimensional beings. So now we're having to deal with this in the real time because we're trying to overcome the egos of our predecessors.
mm,
And it's hard because science is only the measurement and the measurement of the instrumentation of God. Science can only measure that what God has already created. It can't describe his intent. It can't understand his consciousness. It can't even identify the purpose of life
right,
because each person is a fractal of God whose purpose serves another fractal.
right. And it really comes down to the belief, well, if you believe that matter cannot be destroyed nor created, well, then
I
where
think you
did
mean energy.
or yeah, and if it can't be created nor destroyed, well, then where did it come from? Where did this entire thing come from if that's the case?
Yeah. It would
Um,
have to come from, well, here, let's use the science term. So if we are in a simulation, which would be the theory that there is a creator and that he's in ultimate control and that he is the player in the video game of our universe. So that would be like the scientific framing of monotheistic religious belief. We already have that in a theory, and a lot of people believe that that is true, but they still will not admit that that creator came down here to set an example for the rest of us on how to live.
right.
And I really I think it's quite funny to read his own words where he looks at them and he's like, "Are you stupid?" Because it's just a slight reminder that like even the Messiah is like, dang.
And he goes, dang, a lot.
Oh yeah.
After people are being killed, after all of these important people to the different church fathers, to all these people have died in front of them and they're in their sorrows and whatnot. And Christ says, have I not worked miracles? Have I not done these things before you? And you're now going to question me?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
And
Is
he's
that
trying to reinforce to them. He's like, no, you're not understanding. Belief in and of itself is powerful. You must allow yourself to believe.
right? And that is the pillar of those pillars of light that you're talking about.
Yeah, dude.
It's that idea that I'm going to reject the darkness.
Dude, I'm
I
gonna
will.
stitch an Uncle Iroh video right here where he's like, no, nephew, you must understand. Hope is not something that someone else gives you. Hope is something you give to yourself in the hardest of times. Only then can you succeed in life.
Yes.
And I was like,
Yes.
10-year-old me was like, that sounds so cool. So I'm
Yep.
gonna put that back in here for the nostalgia factor. But dude, that was a great menu. Memory. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. And it really is. It is there to show us that he has already shown us. He has already done what he was sent here to do. Now it is our job to have faith in him. Regardless if people come in and out of our lives, our purpose doesn't change. These people that have come in and out of our lives are now far past this world that we, collect material things in, that we worship ourselves in, that we do all of these other things. You shouldn't be sad for these people.
No,
These people have already fulfilled the will of God and have moved on.
dude, yeah, 100%. Like, some people think that Charlie talking about dying and it being a promotion was just like him trying to be positive. But like when you look at him, dude, it's not him trying to be positive. It's not him trying to fulfill anyone else's wishes. He genuinely thinks when I die, I'm gonna see my creator come anything. I wasn't even gonna say it, but nothing will stand in the way. I will be there with him.
Right,
And it shows. And that's why so many people are coming to it because that is the most genuine thing they have been shown in a long time.
right. And that is true, is when they see somebody that doesn't fear that humility. We can get up and we can debate 1,000 people. That doesn't mean we're going to win every time. There's a lot of really good
100%.
debaters out there.
Dude.
And they all believe their own different thing. And the crowd being there and all of these other things that can lead to humiliation. And he realized this, but he didn't care. He moved forward with that. He fought that feeling of, okay, well, what if I get shamed for saying this? I don't care. I don't care if I get shamed because what truly matters is the Father and the Son and
Yeah.
the Holy Spirit. The
Yeah.
Trinity, that is what matters. That is what I'm going to defend.
Yeah. And that's why I joined the TPUSA because like when I was looking into it, it was like a lot of this was more focused on religion than it was on politics. Politics was just a flavor to get in and to get funding and to get help.
Right.
Well, and to get motion
Yeah.
to sum it all up. But but he just loved the Lord and he loved his country because he could express his love for the Lord without being killed or condemned for well, I mean, he's gonna get condemned for it just because the world hated him first. They're gonna
Right.
hate us too. But he could do it without being killed until that point, and that it was so beautiful. Not the act of him dying. That's sad to see.
His
But we
life,
know
his
that.
works.
Yeah, dude. Because I
Right.
mean, if it wasn't apparent before, it can't be ignored now.
Right. Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
and
And
the it's such a light on him and his life that it is apparent if anyone tries to come at anything but pure intent now. And that's why you're going to have pushback left, right, center on this because the standard is perfection.
yeah,
Like, I don't know what else to say. There's the standard.
the bar has been set and it hasn't moved for 2,000 years.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, there's not a doubt in my heart that that was the Messiah. I mean,
Did you cat knock some stuff over?
dude, no, well, the light on the camera fell. And so,
Oh, okay.
give me 1 second. We had a technical difficulty.
Just getting some close-ups now. That's it.
Yeah, dude. I'm trying to make sure that I can, keep it fit for my own hands. Yeah, dude. I don't remember what I was saying because that was funny. But do you want to take a break for a second so we can go use the bathroom or
Yeah,
something?
I got it. Yeah,
Okay.
that works.
It's my wife runs a TikTok page for the little homestead, dude, and it's so freaking funny. She loves it so much.
Both my mom and dad got into homesteading quite a bit, and they let their collection of chickens run a little bit rampant to where they just had this like monstrous flock.
It happens, dude. Chicken
Yeah.
math adds up quick. It happens. You go through a little phase of it. You gotta get out of it, but chicken math ain't no joke.
No, we actually just had a neighbor get into a little bit of trouble. My parents live outside of town, but we have to follow town ordinance, and we're not allowed with roosters. But
Oh no.
my neighbor got a rooster, and somebody told on him.
Oh, what a what a mess.
I thought it was kind of cool, man. It was almost kind of relaxing to hear like the crow of a rooster because it's just not something you hear here in like town and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah.
it
How
was kind of cool.
well, let's see. Down here. Down here. Way down here. No, but over in these parts, it's pretty common. It's pretty common down here for people to have chickens. Um, I would say even some of the people in the city have them now
Mhm.
because what is it? Yeah, they have a limit on to how many you can have at once. If you're in city limits, and I think that's 12.
It's still a good amount.
That's a shitload of chickens. Uh, I have chickens, ducks, uh geese, rabbit. Yeah.
So you got the whole thing going.
Yeah, I got the whole thing going. Yeah. I'm trying to pull myself out of this little financial spot. I'm not gonna say it's a situation, but it's just uncomfy.
Mm,
And I should be out of that by next year because we compiled that and got a rate on it and set up a plan for it. So that'll be finished by next year,
there you
and
go.
then I can do my own to fix the line of credit we needed for the final year of the military.
Mm,
And then we'll be cooking with peanut oil then.
there you go. There you go. So my grandfather said you'd be boiler making then. My old man and his old man and his old man before him, they were all union welders and they built all the power plants. And that's what they'd always say. They'd say, now we're boiler making.
Yep, dude, my dad's dad built or helped weld the oil reservoirs outside of Richmond.
Oh wow, damn. All
Yeah, dude.
right.
Fuck.
There you go.
He was in the Navy, but he passed when my dad was like 15, so I didn't even get to meet him. But from what I heard, he was pretty out there.
Yeah. It truly is it fills you with so much pride when you see something that like somebody built or you hear a story about like how your relatives have built this said thing and it's just like wow, like that's so much of a hand in the community or whatever they're doing that it's just like man, that's honorable, very honorable.
Yeah, dude, because I mean, those things are old, like 40, 50 years old now.
Mm,
And like you still ride by them and like they might be a little rusty, but it's still being used. And
yeah.
it's like, damn, what if we can build something like that now?
Yeah.
We
And
can, we choose not to.
the power plants around here, they were all coal fired, so emissions
Mm,
stepped in and they all got shut down. But now that they're all down, what's happening is all these companies that want to build data centers for
yeah.
AI are stepping in and converting them over to gas. So now our local power plant is completely switching over. It's going to be the biggest gas plant in the world, and then they're going to build a data center right next to it, and it's going to be like a 10-year job. Like it's going to be huge. A lot of my family members getting called out. Now my brothers are all Boilermakers, so they're all going to be involved with that. So that's a huge thing coming, and it's not just that. I mean, Microsoft ended up buying 3 Mile Island, which is the first nuclear disaster site in the United States,
Yeah.
and they just bought that, and they're going to turn up a reactor to get a data center powered. So
For
big thing
themselves?
for themselves, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
I have questions, but
Yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like
Yeah, I got
as
I got questions too.
as someone who dabbled in software development, and then I dabble in cybersecurity and analysis models,
Hmm.
and then I dabble in a wide breadth of things that allow me this amalgamation of information that no one should acquire.
Yeah.
And this math ain't mathin'.
Yeah. That's what I think about it too. It just, what is this massive push for data retention? You know what I mean? It can't be good. I think it's going to get to the point where, you
We
know,
have an information cataclysm.
yeah, anytime that you want to speak up or say anything about the system that's in place, well, they can just pull up your whole file. They got you on everything.
Yeah, the hyperledger from uh Palantir is a real thing. They have already committed to making databases for the people of the United States. Like this isn't something that I enjoy saying, and this isn't something that I'm not offering this as a complaint without also trying with what I can do to to stop or to push it away. Because if we allow it, then we're no better than anyone else.
Right.
So I am trying to step in where or to not step in, but to help understand and create regulations that protect people, even if that's just by feeding the information to the people who can do it right now,
Right.
while I'm still trying to get school done. I
Yeah.
mean, I have the time and the ability. I do it for fun.
Yeah.
Like I created analysis models. Uh, well, I'll tell you that offline because that one's funny.
Yeah. No, I never dabbled much with cyber security. The idea of uh, and I mean you could argue that both software development and cybersecurity are hand in hand, obviously, but cybersecurity is just constantly evolving, and there are people that I know that have found different ways in, they've found different methods doing different pen tests, and these methods are they've never been used.
Yes.
You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
here's what I'll say to that. And this is just my interpretation based off of the information that I have seen. That degree of cybersecurity, like the physical degree, that doesn't mean shit.
no.
Okay, because what they're teaching you is, uh, well, to everyone that's like precluded now has gotten such a subpar baseline of information for
Mm,
cybersecurity that you could go into cybersecurity with essentially no clue and
mm.
just get on because no one knew what was going down yet.
Yep.
And now we've reached the point where we have to acknowledge that we need to evolve these systems or we will get ran through.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
people didn't want to admit that because they didn't want to have to cough up the money to admit that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's a big reason why we've had a huge push um towards things like Linux. I st actually started using Linux because I was interested in things like, Kali Linux. I wanted to use a distribution that already had these cybersecurity tools on them. And as I was learning to use different pen testing tools, it was just like you have to be so dedicated to this. It goes beyond the classroom. It goes beyond your books. It goes beyond the internet. You have to sit there and just constantly figure out what works. And the craziest thing is the people that do the best about it are the people that understand systems. So you're people that have studied systems and understood, how kernels are made, how all these things are understood. This is how you become, and I mean really, it's
Yeah.
like I don't want to I don't want to say like the tism for it, but it's
Yeah.
it's almost
Huh.
like you have to have that dedication every single day to put in time to figure out these new different methods or
You
these
have
new
to have
different.
a strong sense of justice.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Because like I mean, you got that kid that was caught. He was the dude that did the big PlayStation hack back in the day for the PSN network. I forget what his name is, but that kid is a prodigy, and to this day, he still works every day looking for these cracks in systems
Well,
every single day.
that's where we're getting into the age where this is about to become a huge fucking, all right, a huge problem
Mm,
because now, oh gosh, all right, I'm gonna, I am going to warn people right here because I am about to say things that will make you uncomfortable if you don't know already. These are very real. You can look them up. Uh, this isn't like I'm gonna argue about it with you. I'm not going to. If you don't want to believe it, you don't have to. If you want to believe it, just look it up. Um, there are biological or biological technological agents that are being sold, and it's called fuck, I can't remember the exact term it was. I can't remember the proper nomenclature for it, but it's they grew the technology and inside and placed a AI agent, which is an unrestricted AI. They placed that agent in the technology and allowed it to grow in the technology. It's called an organoid. That's what it is.
mm,
They allowed it to grow in it. And essentially what they did was they trapped a soul in a piece of technology, and that soul is sentient, and he knows he's in pain, and he can't do anything about it except what you tell him. And so they have that as an option. Organoid technological advances and biological technological advances that they're already putting AI into to see if it can replace humans.
yeah, yeah.
Then they have the AI agents that if you're not doing it now, you need to, because this is going to be the point in like 5 or 10 years where if you don't have one, you're going to wish you did. Um, which you need to have like your own form of Claude Sonnet 4, or you need to have your own agent. It doesn't have to be like a good one. You can just have, you just need your own in case they decide to take it away.
Mm,
So
right.
you, ouch, even if that just means hiding it on like your crypto wallet.
Yeah.
Um, countries to just move it where the laws are required. But that's also Me just telling you to follow the laws. You're free to choose whatever you want.
Yeah, you can do what
Um,
you choose.
yeah, you can do what you choose. I mean, I don't have an agent. I don't see a need to yet. I'm aware of how to make one,
Mm.
but if it becomes apparent, I will.
Yeah. And I think that's like another thing, like when it comes to things like crypto, for people that are like, don't get me wrong, you can make money within it. And the whole idea behind the cold wallets too. I mean, I have my cold wallet, right here. That's what I use as a little treasure device.
Yeah, I wouldn't do
And
that again though. I'll probably I'll cut that
yeah.
part out. Just to
And
protect you. I'll be like, "Hey, here's my wallet," and then I'll clip it out.
yeah.
But
So yeah, essentially, if you don't own the keys to your crypto, you don't own it, and they're gonna take
well,
it.
North
And
Korea is going to take it for sure.
yeah, that's the other thing is you have foreign actors that are looking to take it, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually, if you do amass some of these coins that they're talking about, I mean, there's a good chance that you're going to be sitting on a pretty penny
Yeah,
a few years because that's what everything is moving towards. We've seen the
tokenization of
yeah.
everything.
And the Genius Act that just happened, a lot of people thought, well, as soon as Trump signs this act, all of our crypto is going to go to the moon. Well, I mean, if you read it, you'll start to see that these laws don't come into effect for another 5 years. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're not going to see the full extent of what all of this does until 5 years. And then not to mention, like, there's a lot of things that have to happen before that. There's got to be a lot of companies that step in and actually do what they're supposed to do when it comes to the regulation of crypto. You know what I mean? Right now, it is just the Wild West out there, man. You can make your own crypto coin, you can scam a bunch of people, and then that's that. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
no
Hawk Tuah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
these pump and dump coins, and then there's even coins now that when you go and you look at them, you'll see that, they have a very predictable run. It almost looks like an ETF from like the stock market that constantly pays out each month. It looks like that, but it is a buy only contract, which means you can never sell. So all these people pump all this money into it, but then the owner of the coin is just like, all right, thanks for all the money, dumps it, and then the cycle starts all over again, and you can never get rid of these tokens.
Well, that's what people were calling out with when Trump launched his coin
Mhm.
was uh I forget the exact parameters of it, but they were like, "Yo, if you're not careful, they can rug pull in 6 months."
Yeah,
And everyone was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, you're locked in for X amount of time,
yeah,
but they aren't. They're going to
yeah,
be unlocked in 6 months, and you will be."
yeah. Yep,
And
and that's the thing is like especially it's almost like that aspect of it now is being used as like a way for them to try to convince people that like, oh, I'm not going to rug pull you.
yeah.
But what their contract really says is they're not going to rug pull you until 6 months.
Yep, yep. There we
Right?
go. And that's where that's what I always stress. If you don't know the rules of the game, how can you play it?
Right. That's it.
Like people will be like, "Oh, well, I have all these ideas and I have all this and that." And it's like, "That's great." Okay? And I advise you to start working towards that. But before you put down brick and mortar, you need to understand that front, back, sideways in your dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree that if you're running into like the biggest problem is these young investors running to YouTube and listening to everything that some YouTube says, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I
that's
mean, I'm far from perfect. I'm not claiming that I've made millions of dollars. I have nope, nope, I do not. I don't even want to make millions of dollars if we're being honest, because I'm pretty good with what I've got now.
yeah,
You know? Like
how I feel.
it's I think it would be more of a hassle to have more money.
Yeah, honestly, more money, more problems,
Yeah, dude,
you
because
know?
like I have enough to get by and I have enough where if something happens, I won't be like catastrophically affected. So
Yeah.
it's fine. But
And honestly, like I'm almost done with school. I don't have much time left. It's something that I will finish. But going through school, being in a company, being in an internship, and seeing how fast-paced it all is, and you have to dedicate so much of your time in order to be a successful developer, and now even more a successful AI developer. That it is like you are throat to throat, dude, with these people just trying to get the better position, get the better paying job, doing this, doing that, constantly reading the TLDR, like learning all these new different models that are coming out, learning the different methods of training them,
well,
learning
yeah,
how to
you're
break
also
things.
learning AI as it's happening, dude.
Yeah. And to me, like this is gonna sound a little weird, but it's almost like floating down the river of lame, you know what I mean? Like it's just like
Oh yeah, burning yourself out.
yeah, it's just like there's so many other things that I would love to invest my time in. You know what I mean? Like I have put so much time now into like I started scuba diving. That was something that had changed my life forever, and it wasn't even my idea. It was Bobby's idea to get me out of the house and for he always wanted to do some scuba diving, but I was so locked into like school and developing and all this other stuff. So I took a step back. I took a break for the summer, didn't do any summer classes, and then focused on scuba. And that whole thing changed my life. And to me, there's nothing now more fulfilling than say me being able to take somebody and experience that as well, keeping them safe, keep at their as a dive master, your responsibility is your people. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The people that you're diving with. And there's so much to learn. There's so many things every day that you can learn about diving. And it's so fulfilling. I get to see another part of God's creation that we don't get to just see every day, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? On a daily basis.
Well, I think you just answered your own question. I think you just told well talked out what you needed to hear that
Yeah,
you weren't following the proper path and he
I
came
wasn't.
and showed you that
Yeah.
through Bobby.
Yeah, and I absolutely will be the first person to admit that that pace of life and development and all of these other things that go into software engineering, that is such a fast-paced life that I feel like if I dedicate my time fully to it, I won't have time for family. You
Yeah.
know, my time with God is going to be very limited because I'm now focused on what I want to do and it revolves around me. So again, that's why I say it's more of like the Lake of Lame where it's just like, you know, I feel like there's many other better things to be doing with the life that I was given
Mhm.
instead of constantly just being in my head about, well, what is the next thing that I have to learn for this job in order to, you know, make X amount of dollars a year, when in reality, I can live a very comfortable life doing what I would love to do and then also be able to honor, worship God and have a fulfillment out of it as well.
There you
That's
go,
the big
man. Dude, you should
thing.
try and do that. I would definitely trying to think because I think I know some people for like underwater who used to underwater weld that now just dive.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can't remember who it was though. Because usually I always try and give someone that comes on like a point of contact for somebody else and try and just like expand their network also. Because I want what I set out to do when I originally started the podcast was I had no clue, no clue what I wanted to do at all. Still don't.
Yeah,
I know I can talk for hours, and I know that it makes sense. And I know that if I keep doing it, the Lord will sort it out.
right. He does every time.
Yeah, so I just keep doing it, even though I'm like uncomfy. Like, I was doing the same thing you were doing. I need to say this before I forget because I ramble sometimes. Um, I was doing what you were doing, man. I was doing 16 hours of developing a day
Yeah.
for like 8 months, and it was Django. In case anybody wants to know, full stack Django development, and and I was getting it. I was getting it, but I just wasn't enjoying it like at
Yeah,
all.
right.
And it made it really apparent to me that um that I was in the middle of a like a choice area where, hey, you're not locked in and you're not locked out. You can leave right now if you want to, if you don't like this. And I immediately was like, nah, I want out of this.
Yeah,
This is not for me. I was like, I don't see a career path that I will like because this will eat into everything.
yeah,
I don't see anything that'll be prosperous in like the next 3 to 5 for me because of XYZ. And I was like, the pros are are so abysmal that the cons are just screaming at me. I'm like, I'm out of here.
yeah. Yeah, and I agree, man. When you're hearing that, any continuation just can be miserable. It could be damaging. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like you're
yeah.
forcing yourself to go through with something, you know what I mean, that is just
Oh,
going to eat up your time. And not to mention, man, like what are these jobs? If you really think about it, you're going to work, you have an expertise in something, but you're sitting down and you're never getting out. You're in this desk or you're in this office, you're in this space. And it's so important to get out and see the world, see what's available to us, and not just live your life behind a desk.
well, yeah. Here's what here's something that I took from Sleep Token. If you listen to one of his songs, he says, here, I'll pull it up because I'm on my computer already. He talks about how it's a beautiful nightmare, a war of attrition, um, and a prison of his own choosing. And I was like, that's so beautifully put because like it is true. At some point, if you get far enough into your passion, it becomes a prison in and of itself. Because the
Absolutely.
expectations from the world exceed the expectations that you started out with.
Yeah,
And so I
absolutely.
was like, oh God, that's so deep. But it's such a good song. I'll pull it up real quick. I won't play it on the YouTube for all those people. Let's see if we can find it. I'll do the whole. Yeah. All right. So it is that song. I was thinking, right? It's called Caramel. Don't worry, I got you. I'll pull it. It's a good song. It's only like 4 minutes, so I won't. Is it
Okay.
better if I do it like this?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So then it went into directional mode for the microphone. Okay, that's no fun. Where I have to be like super close to it. So it registers.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think I answered my own. I might have just needed to mess with the gain and the input. The-
Yeah, him and I think about Noose a lot too, if you remember Noose, Jake Noose. That was a very righteous man, and I enjoy talking to Noose a lot.
Did yeah, I didn't think Sal was gonna come on because uh dude, I hadn't talked to Sal in like a year and a half. Uh, Not because I don't like him. I love Sal. I tell him, I mean, hell, I used to call him Salby Boy whenever he'd come around, and I only had nicknames for people that I really liked. Like I would walk up to you, and yours, every time I would see you, I'd be like either a different form of petrol. I'd call you petrol motor oil. I'd be like, I'm like, where you going, Petrie? And then Booby,
Oh, Bob, Robert.
dude, I'd be like, are you okay today, Booby? And he's like, please stop calling me that. I'm like, it's gonna be okay, big guy. We're gonna get through this together. And he's like, I hate you. And I'm like, it's okay. I hate me too right now. But there was one dude who was at Latea. I was trying so hard to be nice with him, man. And I even warned him. I was like, please, please don't go to West Virginia. I know you want to, because everyone knows you want to. Please do not go. You do not have permission and you do not have authority. And I was like, I know technology better than you. Please don't do this. In the middle of the weekend, I get told to call them back.
Yeah.
I have to ask for his GPS location because he will not tell me where he's at. And he tries to tell me a lie. And I was like, okay, share your location with me right now since we both have iPhones. And he was like, uh, no. And I was like, then you better get the fuck back here yesterday.
Oh man. And that kid, dude, he couldn't stop pumping out twins. He kept just having twins, brother.
Dude, dude. Oh my God. You just reminded me. When you guys left, everything turned into hell in a handbasket for us. Okay. I had to UCMJ four different people. I've had to do two tribunals. I have had to sit in front of the company commander and explain to him that my medic thought that the best course of action in his life was to get a face tattoo because his music company was going to go to the moon and he didn't want to be in the army anymore.
And he got a face tat.
Dude, it he got two and they could his nickname in the battalion was DJ Freefall. Like,
Oh
dude, I've
man.
got nothing but love. If you want to chase your dreams, I love you for that. In fact, I think that might be the only way we can make it in this life now.
Yeah.
And, but I don't think under God's green earth, nor his understanding, is it ever the proper situation to go, you know what? A face tat is exactly what I need to progress my status in life. And if you're gonna get in trouble for it every step of the way, it's a fucking no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah, man. Like, oh wow. You know
Yeah, and
that
some of the other things were just like they were really bad, and I still don't want to talk about them because
understand.
they one of them was really close to me. And it was a series of bad choices that he made that I had to actually go in front of the tribunal and testify against. And so, like, I don't want to slander him any more than he already had to pay for. Like, I think it's already done. But I mean, I don't want to judge him because he didn't do it to me. I understand what happened, and I forgave him for that, and I've seen him try and grow. Even though, like, I haven't expressed that to him because there's not been an opportunity for me to. And I told him in the moment, I'm really glad that like I didn't make any extreme decisions when I was like early 20s because holy shit, I would hate to have to live with that now. Um, but dude, I told him in the moment, like I don't hate you. I don't I don't even well, I said I don't hate you, but I just can't understand why. Because we were tasked with their safety, and yet that's what you gave up.
Mm.
And then I like got emotional in it and I said the F word and then I got in trouble for saying the F word and so that was my mistake, but I had to live with that choice. I mean, Sergeant Major got me pretty good after. He's like, "You said the F word," and I was like, "We're lucky it was just that." But
Yeah,
to my credit, that was the first time I had been at a tribunal and I was about to shit my pants.
yeah,
And I had only said an F word after like 20 minutes of being in there and we were doing cross-examination and I had had enough with his manipulation of words, like the lawyer, not the
yeah,
kid. I'm not going to blame the kid for the lawyer,
right,
but um I do I hope that I hope that he's found peace because I know that once it's all said and done and your moral compass becomes straight, it's really hard to live with the things that you did when it wasn't.
right. That's
Eh,
the biggest thing is, the things that have happened before within your life. You can't let these, as you move forward in life and you've reconciled and you've repented, the biggest thing is understanding that you can't let these past actions rob you of joy later on in the future.
100%.
And a lot of people get wrapped up in that. A lot of people feel as if they're not deserving of compassion or grace. And there's a lot of people, not even in a combat setting or whatnot, but there was a lot of people that we worked with that made a lot of poor decisions. And because of that, they ended up having to pay the price for it. And for a lot of them, for the majority of them, they're very lucky that that's all the more that had came of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? In the grand scheme of things within life and everything else, a lot of it is just a simple slap on the wrist and you move on with your life. And it could have been so much more had something bad happened when you were acting a certain way. And for that we have to remember that, we all of us, within Deco, none of us had really made such a horrible decision to where we are condemned for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was a situation that happened from a Red Devil, not too long after I got out, where he ended up coming home and finding out that his wife had been with somebody else, and he
Mm.
he shot them both, and I
Mm.
believe that he had shot a police officer and then himself.
No,
Um,
no.
and that is a situation, you know what I mean, that is most extreme, that is most, just like it is super important to recognize this situation and realize that, even in his situation where it seemed like all was lost, there's a lot of other options there. There's a lot of things that you must
Yeah.
realize that are in the balance here, not just, your marriage at stake or this or that. And I thank God every day that, the people that were the closest to me were able to avoid anything drastic, anything crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, we have throughout the White Devils, we have seen a few suicides. You know what I mean? I will always remember Durkee, and I will always remember all of the other people that felt as if maybe drugs were the way, and the drugs ended up taking them out.
Yeah,
And
it was rough for a while there, dude. Speaking from experience, sorry, it's reliving for a second, but we almost got shut down. There were so many suicides during COVID that they put a warning out.
Yeah,
We will shut down if there's another one. And then the day after the warning was up, somebody killed themselves.
yeah,
And so, like, I'm not just like speaking out of my place because we were literally across the street from a company who had so many mental health cases that they were called behavioral health instead of Bravo Company.
yeah,
And so and I think they did get shut down for a second, either them or Charlie Company. But either way, like they did what they needed to get back in position to fight because it was bleak for a while. It was bleak. Like I think we had three or four activations right right on top of each other. Like people were strung out, not like off their like shit,
yeah,
but they
yeah,
were just like you can only go balls to the wall for so long.
yeah,
And as someone who was stuck in the 82nd for 8 years, like there was no option to get out. I have two special needs children, and with that comes the restriction of I'm very well versed in the exceptional family member program because I was the point of contact for the whole battalion, so about 2,000 people. Um, oh no, excuse me. Let me backtrack. It's not 2,000. It's 200 because it was a company. But I got read into the position so that way I could put it on my resume.
there you
That's what it was. I was trying to remember what the nuance was. But that I got read into the position and how to fulfill it so that way I could assume and then put it on my resume. But I didn't
go.
get to put Yeah, I didn't get to put it on because I wasn't there for the year that we needed. But anyways, doesn't matter. So, so I was in charge of 200, trying to be in charge of 2,000. I was the NCO of the mailroom, which was 2,000 at the end. So once I had broken my stuff, broken whatever the hell, the discs and the nerves in my sciatica and then the bone spur in my hip. Like there was a lot.
Yeah,
And I'm just thankful I can still move, if we're being honest. Because
yeah,
there was times where like I overextended and I would collapse. And that's not a fun feeling losing control of your body. It's actually terrifying.
yeah, yeah. I went through probably. I would say now it's probably closer to 3 months, 4 months, but there was an issue that I had had that I believe stemmed from Iraq. I believe that something happened to my ear in Iraq, and we didn't really have the ability at that time to do anything. The PA at the time didn't want to just give anything out willy-nilly because he didn't know how long we were going to be there. So he wanted to see if maybe my ear could repair itself and heal on its own. And when I got back to the States, I took care of everything that I needed to. But then from that point on, there was like this like growing pressure in the side of my head. And I kept like just thinking that it was like an ear infection, this and that. I'd go get stuff, to clear up the infection and everything. Until one time I went in and the doctor said like he literally just like looked in my ear and was like, "Yep, you need surgery." And I was like, "Damn, dude, like that easy? Like you can just tell that easy?" And he's like, "Yeah, you have what's called a cholesteatoma, which is it's this growth within inside your ear because normally your ear will push out the dead skin and it'll exit your ear. But because you had a hole in your eardrum, that dead skin ended up getting flown into that hole, right? It's really gross.
Holy.
And what's really even more gross is that live skin ended up making its way in there. So then something started to grow, the skin started to take hold, it started to grow and everything. And it created this mass that was in my head that just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So I had to go undergo surgery for that. They cut my like pretty much they cut my ear off behind my ear and
My.
drilled into my skull with like a diamond burr. And when they drilled in, they could then like remove all of the growth and everything. And then I go in a couple months for another surgery to make sure that it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that could have easily ruined like like the facial nerve that runs through, like
Mm-hmm.
that could have ate that up. It could have affected it
Oh,
put a massive damage on my hearing because it ate through one of my hearing bones
dude, I still can't feel this. So
right here.
no, I can't feel me. Like I can feel the pressure of me pushing.
Mhm.
Can't feel anything else. They ripped out my molar, and when they did, a piece broke back off and went straight into the nerve and lodged
Oh,
itself in there. And then we had to play the game of break his jaw, get it out.
damn.
And that's not fun at all, ever.
No, I couldn't imagine.
Um, I didn't even want to get my molar out.
Yeah,
Once I found out that they broke my jaw, like it wasn't a significant break. It was like a break, a tiny, two tiny fractures to make a break so they could pull it out.
yeah.
And, but still,
And then ends up like messing up your nerves and everything in
dude,
three
it
days.
messed up. It's messed up a bunch, dude. It's like, first off, you get used to not feeling this, and that's weird.
Yeah.
Because then you're like shaving, and then I don't even shave anymore because
Yeah.
reasons. But um, there was a whole thing that just felt liberating about getting out and not shaving anymore, and I just refused to shave again.
Yeah. It's all about
Um,
the trimmers, dude. It's all about keeping it just trimmed up. That's all I care.
I don't want to. I want to get so I had it down to about like right here,
Okay, yeah.
and I want to get it back down, dude. The beard of wisdom just makes me feel good. It
Yeah.
just makes me feel good, man. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is right. Just
Yeah.
seeking knowledge. That
Yeah.
sounds that sounds like a fucking I just
Yeah.
love to seek knowledge. Dude.
I mean, to become a wizard, you must first look the part, you know?
Well, I don't know. I've been I've been moved towards just to getting to the point where I'm of this world but not tied to it.
Yep, that's it. That's just it. I'm trying so hard to essentially die to it and live entirely within faith. That is such a hard thing to do with anything. I mean, to make any step in life and then say, I got to put the entirety of my faith in this so I don't fail, that it's always a hard task. And then when you pair that with spiritual warfare, man, it
Dude.
becomes an impossible battle.
Well, so since we're gonna dive into spiritual warfare here, I want to do this one first. So this was uh I ripped this finger off when I was 6, and this was actually the reason that it took me a year to get into the army. Turns out it's actually easier to rip a limb off or rip an appendage off and it stay off and get into the army than it is to rip it off, it get put back on.
Yeah.
Now it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Dude, that was fun to deal with, but thank God my mama was a nurse at Patient First when that was happening. Because I was able to go like from the recruiting office, go straight to Patient First and be like, okay, I need this and that so I can go. And then they would get it done by like the end of the week. So that was pretty baller.
Yeah.
I was pretty thankful for that. Um I'm even more thankful looking back on it now because they were able to get it all done without lying and without putting any false information down. So I'm like, yay! Because that was, dude, that's a huge problem with some guys in doing their paperwork is like, some things weren't disclosed. And so they've got to be disclosed and then they got to be dealt with, like to determine if it is the Army's problem with this newfound information.
Right, yeah.
But another thing that I was thankful for was like I got forced into the med board process because of the situation. And then they ended up looking at it with like seven different eyes, like seven different times. And I was like, you know what? If that many people can look at it and agree that I'm messed up, then I don't even I'm not gonna ever doubt it. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna ever doubt it, dude.
Yeah. And the biggest thing, like especially with like getting out and with the VA too, it is really important that, you know what I mean, you are completely honest. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You want to be completely, forthcoming about, what has happened. I think, a lot of people will, try to do different things or get around certain things, but
Dude, it
when
goes
you,
back to intent, man. If you don't come at it with pure intent, it's easy.
yep,
Easy pickings because they do it all day, every day.
yep. Yeah, and like I personally, you know what I mean, I went into every situation, every meeting telling them exactly what happened. Like I told them exactly how I was feeling. One of the biggest ones was like, to be honest, was like drinking. Like that was like when I had first got out, that was a really big one that I didn't realize the VA took so seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was the idea that like if you're drinking or if you relapse in drinking, like this is a huge deal to them.
Well, you don't understand the consequences of it. Like they can range and they are broad. Like,
Right.
because I mean, on one hand, you could be a hermit who drinks, and then one day, oh no, the wall outlet sparked and the alcohol was just under it. Now the house is on fire.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as that, or it could be as complex as you've had two shots and you waited 30 minutes and went down the street. Dude hits the rear of your car. Someone else now is involved, and you've got to give a breathalyzer.
Yeah.
Like you didn't do anything, but the effect is still going to be great against you.
Yeah. Right. Yep. And that, yeah, that's the reality. And I had to really like take a step back. Like I went to Cannon's house for Thanksgiving at one point, and I had taken a shot of tequila that was
Mm.
like it was a tall shot. It was one that he had gotten at like south of the border. And
Ah.
like it was just like it was like a funny label of like how Mexican are you? You know what I mean? Can you do the can you do the whole shot?
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
So he ended up pouring it all. He's like, "Hey, I heard you can drink tequila." And at this point I was already trashed. Like I had already been drinking all night. And I just took this massive shot of tequila and like was just expressionless. Like it wasn't even like it burned, and I didn't have a lime. I didn't have a chaser. I just straight drank this tequila and like four shots of it all to the face. And he just like stood there looking at me like I'm sure he's probably waiting for me to like gag or
Yeah,
throw up,
yeah,
but I just went into the kitchen and went about my business. And then he had told me the next day, he was like, dude, when you were like completely expressionless. Like, I didn't know you actually like drank like that. And I was like, man, maybe I got a problem. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, dude. No, I think I think that uh there are some people who reach that level organically, and there are many people who reach that level due to the environment that they're in
mm,
and the extremes that are expected of them.
yeah,
And that's how I would label a majority of the military is like, dude, they're running on nerves that are fried, uh, fight or flight that's been kicking for too long,
Yep.
PTSD that they don't even know how to understand yet.
Most of them don't even know exists.
Yeah, some of them are trapped in despair. Some of them don't even know that they're even in there.
Yeah.
Like that I was included. That's why I'll say this one because it's terrifying how comfortable I was in the pit of despair.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like I didn't know. And I can't like you don't know what you don't know and I can't expand on that anymore.
I can attest to that. My first time stepping foot in Afghanistan and being 19 years old, I just came to a unit where two people had died
Oh,
in a V-bit explosion.
yeah, I
And
remember
I
that.
didn't, I remember seeing this on my phone. I remember, doing all that, but getting over there, to this day, I can't believe how whimsical I just walked through such a hostile country at a time where I didn't even know. At my age, I wasn't mature enough to realize that, like, on a daily basis, your life is at threat. Your life is
Yeah.
in danger. It isn't like here where, like, setting in your house, like, I guess you could say, well, somebody might break in, but there it is an absolute threat where there are people just outside those walls that are plotting on your demise constantly.
Yeah.
Even
Dude,
people within.
we're talking about this and like I want people to get a feel for how real it is and how like you forget due to complacency.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
like I had my gun 3 feet away. You start talking about this and I need to move it closer and I need to have the thing open so that way in case the situation arises, I need to protect. But that's how serious it is. Like it's not a joke. It's not a fallacy. Someone's there to kill you. They've trained to hate you, and
Yeah.
you need to take it serious. And I didn't take, I took it serious enough to survive,
Right. Yeah.
but I didn't take it as serious as I know now.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
so I'm thankful for all of the deployments because each time it was like a layer of understanding more. So on the
Absolutely.
first one, like Kosovo, we didn't have rockets or crazy shit like y'all did. Well, and I know that was like it wasn't all the time either. So
No, yeah. Yeah. It's not like it was every day.
yeah, yeah, I know. I know that there are some people who will be like, "Oh, but it was." Well, then come on now.
Yeah. All right.
Uh, but in Kosovo, we had like a couple things that happened that were weird, and a couple things were like we had to respond to. There's for sure the one I remember because I remember Sergeant Reed, and he was so cool in the moment.
Yeah, I like Reed.
He was so cool in the moment that I can't forget it ever. But there was a guy who got on a bus with a bag full of grenades and explosives. And I don't know what he thought was going to come of it because he knew we were there. So, like, everyone just, dude, and Kosovo's so freaking beautiful, first off. It's so beautiful that you just don't want there to be war there. But there is because it's so beautiful that they want to protect it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it gets even crazier once you start getting diving into the complexities of the Baltic regions too, because then you get into uh the religious wars that have been happening there for so long, and then you're like, well, what does little old me think I can do about
Right.
these generational genocides that we've been just trying to stop?
Yeah.
And they'll stop when we come around, but then they'll kill each other when we leave. So it's
Right.
kind of like, what do we do here, man?
Yeah.
But um and I know people that were in K4 I was K422 in case anybody wants to know. Um but dude, it's so wild because like you're born into this world with no knowledge of the complexities, and then you learn the complexities and have to tight walk everyone else's extreme opinions in order to stay on truth.
Right.
And it's just like, man, everyone at all times, I've come to this conclusion that at all times, at all times, everyone's on the verge of an extreme.
Oh yeah.
It's just,
Yep.
it's just where that is for them and what's affecting them the most.
Yeah.
And it's not a dig at people. It's
No,
just we all have a bubble of importance, and sometimes we can't see past that. It's okay.
absolutely.
Um, but you go over to a different country in defense of everything like that, and you're faced with the reality of their perception of you is you are Satan. You
Yeah.
are evil incarnate because you've been over here killing people for God knows what reason. Like even some of them don't understand, some of them do, some of them. I mean, it's so complex because we didn't even understand what was going on until the end of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at one point, I don't know. We'll see what becomes of it, but I know that a lot of people. A lot of the reason that people are taking their own life is because of, and to simplest form and generalize it so that way I don't have to be debating specific case by case scenarios each time. I'm going to say miscommunication and misunderstanding just because that can capture all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's like throughout, it's always some miscommunication. To me, communicating as human beings is key, but we always have our own ideas in mind. Or an even bigger one is we always seem to draw the line right in front of us with a stick that says, well, beyond this point is wrong or right. And you always seem to fall on that side of right. All the time, everybody, when they draw that line, they say, oh, well, I'm good. And I fall on this side of
Yeah. Yeah,
righteousness.
it's really weird how history only has victors.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been on a winning streak for too long, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
But I love doing dives like that though. That makes it fun because then we can contextualize each time period and get the understanding of what the different socioeconomic states were.
Yeah.
So, like, even people will say, well, oh, Christianity never conquered anything peacefully. That's not freaking true, okay?
Yeah,
What
that's not.
happened to Rome?
That is exactly right. Rome was Christian by population, by never raising a sword once.
Yep, only
And
by public forums.
and again, you cannot say the same with Islam. Islam was by bloodshed, by force, and by conquering. And the retaliation of the Crusades was because of this barbaric nature being pushed in to this place that had adopted the idea of a divine scripture, divine literature, a divine feeling where I can't say that that same feeling is present in Islam because Islam again rewards the flesh, rewards
Yeah.
the soul, it promotes having more than one, partner. It is very, in my opinion, undivine. If I'm going to put it in any kind of sense, it would be undivine. And
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of people who would agree that it is a fleshly or carnal based uh understanding, but that's not to take away anyone's
No, no.
else's interpretation. This is just
Again,
ours.
what I truly believe is that every one of us was given free will. So, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? If I'm going to say that you cannot practice your faith w within Islam, within Judaism, within Hinduism, within whatever you want to believe in, if you believe in there's a flying spaghetti monster in space, man, like, hey, more power to you. But I'll
why
tell
have
you.
I heard that exact phrase before? Dude, I'm sorry. Okay, there are times where the Lord will use exact phrases of my past to mess with me just to let me know that he's here. And so like I love to acknowledge them with people that it happens with because I can't remember the exact instance. But I remember a pastor saying, if you want to love the flying spaghetti monster, that's perfectly fine. Here, you got free will.
And that's what it comes down to, man. The biggest thing too is that like, especially within this country, it is important to be able to practice your religious beliefs in whatever way you see fit.
Yeah,
And
it's your
by
God-given right.
and by us taking that away, well, then we are no better than the countries that, persecute, others for their beliefs, people that are being killed or forced into exile. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's no different.
yeah,
Um, so that's how I see it. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I always push freedom of speech and
Mm,
free market because you can't have one without the other. But
absolutely.
that's also a great point that Charlie Kirk had, and that I'm not trying to take from him. I'm trying to I think that's
Expand.
just a great, yeah, dude. I think it's a great point. I think he's a great person. I don't think anyone can ever touch what he was doing because of how great he was at it. I think the only way to magnify him is to go and take what he brought to that, take pieces of it and bring it to everything else. So
Right.
to implement it. I mean, but I like to do that on the low anyways. I've been I've been blessed enough to have all these crazy experiences to draw from that I just do it all the time. And
Yeah,
it helps a lot.
it
I'm
does.
because I figured that out uh God when I was like 8 or 9. Figured it out because I was trying really hard to understand my body as best as I could and like how to work every single muscle within the body to the most effective. And I would take different uh like different tools or different pieces of knowledge that coaches would give me from one sport and implement it in a different one. So like if if positioning in lacrosse worked better than the positioning in baseball or the way that I position in wrestling for if I'm taking someone down, then I would implement it where it would be most effective. And I would like test hypotheses in real time to see if it would work. So I would play outside linebacker for my last 2 years of high school. I think I still have a huddle account too. I think I still have a highlight reel. If you catch my highlight reel, you'll see I think the second video is the kid that when I made the tackle, I was coming in with so much force that when I hit this kid on the side, it shattered his spine, and
Right.
then I made the tackle on the guy who had the ball. So like I didn't even I didn't. Uh, it's like now I feel sad about it, but back then I was like, dude, that's good metal.
I mean, yeah, that's you're assuming that risk. You know what I
I
mean?
know. Yeah. 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 No, I know that now. Yeah. And that's what my rationale was then. I was like, no one can see the day or hour when they're going to get a life altering event. I was like, I can't be held responsible for him playing the game and me just happening to be the force that causes him this injury.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my God, I hope I don't get sued over this. You know? That was my real fear
Yeah.
was back then. I was like, oh my God, can I get sued for this? Like, and you worry about it.
Yeah.
And but then like while you're in school, everybody else is like, dude, you're so fucking badass, and you're over here like, I hope he doesn't have a good lawyer. Like, yeah, he's
This kid's in
okay.
a currently in a hospital bed with his fucking arms and everything bound up. He's in this body cast.
Dude, I didn't find out that that had happened until like the next day, because he got he got taken off the field in an ambulance, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I was going to a military boarding school at the time, and so information was sparse, and dude, I didn't know what was going on. I was just a mess in my own head because I didn't talk to people very often, except to this my one and only best friend who took his own life the year prior. So I was kind of just like already numb to the world
Mm.
and just trying to hold on. And like it was compounding because I like I'm not doing it justice on how traumatic it really was. Um, no, like the whole thing is just like everything about my the rest of my junior year and senior year, because I went back to the same school and was put in the same building a floor above where he took his own life. And I was put as the lieutenant of that floor. So I was in leadership position, trapped a floor above where my one and only friend had taken his own life for months. I was in pieces, bro. Because if I was doing the mental math of how many doors it was in my head at night, and so oh God, it was rough, dude. Because I remember it vividly. That was like I was coming back with a box. I had just picked up literal bread, chocolate, and peanut butter to make peanut butter Nutella sandwiches, dude. We just finished the regular wrestling season. Patrick was gonna go. Well, no, both of us were gonna try nationals to see if we could go to state. And yeah, I went back, I was holding the box, and there was two guys at the door and they were waiting for me. And I walked up and I was like, "Hey, what's going on, guys?" And they're like, "Hey, we can't let you in here." And I was like, "Why not?" And they're like, "Well, there's something happening." And so like me being nosy, I like look over and I see that they're at Patrick's door and I can't see what they're doing. And so at this point I'm getting violent and it's working. And I made my way down there and I saw what happened. He he had hung himself. And you could tell he was already dead. Like the brain stem was gone.
Yeah.
But I couldn't handle it. And so like my vision was the first thing that like went hazy and it felt like the world flipped and like had turned gray all in an instant. And like because it's different. Like I'd been hunting, I'd lived in like Henrico, which is outside of Richmond. So like I'd seen people get shot, I'd heard about it, I'd been around it. But it was different for the only best friend I've ever had. Like I'd never had a connection with anyone. Not one person like this. Like I had a friend, a really close friend. His name was Kyle, but it just kind of fell off once we got past like 8. And it wasn't because either one of us didn't like each other. It's just like we kind of just grew apart. and we were okay with that. But dude, from the moment I met this kid, I just loved him with everything. And then he was gone one day. And that fucked me up. And the school had got me therapy, and I remember there was an incident with a kid right after this had happened, and it broke my reality again, but it also gave me a very valuable lesson in the moment. We were in the church on the school campus, and this kid was pissed that we were in there. And he had stood up and he said, "Why the fuck do we have to stay in here? Because some punk bitch took his own life." Now there was people that immediately tried to assault this man, but I wasn't one of them because I couldn't move. And I'm not upset about that. I could I could not move, man. It felt like everything I had known had just been shattered in that one moment. And then I chose to be with him every day until they officially considered him dead. And it was rough, man. I saw life really hard and really fast for a couple months. And then they just kind of expected you to go back to normal,
Yeah.
like nothing happened. And but as a man, you're just expected to go right back into it.
Yeah.
And so I was having to try and learn all of this with my own dad, who was facing his own struggles because, like, he didn't have a dad growing up. So he was trying to deal with this the best he knew how to. And, dude, oh man, it was rough because I was trying to lean on the Lord, and I was also really mad at the Lord.
Yeah.
And I was running a lot and arguing with him a lot. I would go on like runs at like 4 a.m. for like miles, and I just wouldn't tell anyone. But the school knew I was doing it because of the surveillance cameras. Well, let me rephrase that. I warned people beforehand, like to notify them and get the proper approval so
Yeah.
I wouldn't get in trouble. I didn't want to waste the money that my parents had used. Um, but I mean, that's I know some people will argue with me. They'll be like, "But you got in so much trouble," and I'm like, "I got in exactly as much trouble as I could without getting kicked out." Okay, but I still passed. Okay, I still passed. I made it. Only by God did I make it through all this shit. Dude, I should just put that on everything. Like, only by God did I make it through this because there's no reason I should have.
Yeah. I agree. There's a lot of things that I think back on too, and I think, man, like if he didn't exist and this world was just something that ran rampant, man, I would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah, dude, because I don't even talk to people about the situation with Patrick unless I have to.
Yeah.
And like, and it's it's I don't well, here, I'll put it this way. There are some people that I talk to now that didn't even know that I had a family. Like that's how burnt I was of just life. Like I was planning to do 10 to 20 regardless because I'm a smart man and I know what benefits come with doing 10 to 20 years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I hit 8, man. I did the best I could. And that's more than a lot of people.
That is more than a lot of people, man. I couldn't do another four. I don't know how people do it.
I had children, that's why.
Yeah.
Um, so I just buttoned down what I needed to, and that was my emotions. And I did the best I could. And you know what? I'm not perfect. I'll never claim to be. I made a lot of mistakes, but I did the best with what I could given what I had, man, and I'm thankful to be here.
Yeah.
For real.
Absolutely.
Because I'm trying to get back in it, and dude, I'm watching everybody else like, dude, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, when you're just sitting back like this, because I'm trying to get back in. And I'm getting the proper stuff in place in order to get back in, but I'm also allowing for God to work. Like I'm not tied down to any of this stuff, but it feels like what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not um I streamed on Twitch for 6 years religiously. In between the hours of when my children would be awake. So I would still get in 4 to 6 hours of streaming while doing online schooling and being a father of two and active duty. And I told that to my therapist, and he was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I was like, "What?" Because I didn't understand. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "You did that for 6 years." And I was like, a roundabout, probably like 4 or 5, like, but if you piece all of it together, yeah, it'd probably be about that. And and he just looked at me like I was crazy. But I would like
Yeah,
I
was
just
that
see
the case?
life as dials. Like you have to be willing to sacrifice things in order to get other things.
Right.
Like that's clearly that's clearly written from like the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Even in the alchemical process, where in order to get something, you got to give something.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Absolutely.
dude, every religion says that too. Like you got to
Yeah.
be willing.
You got to give up. You got to sacrifice. There's a
Yeah.
lot of sacrifices that need to be made.
Submission. Dude, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh my God.
It's now 11.
I did. I think this is a great area to stop at.
Yeah, hey man, whenever you're good to stop, you're
Oh
good.
yeah, dude. Well, I'm gonna have to stop us here because I gotta get up at about 6, yeah, 6 in the morning to take the kids to school, and then I'll
Yeah,
start editing there. But dude, I appreciate this so much. This is so much fun.
dude, absolutely. And even if you want to get together and talk, just even without the recording, man, without
Oh, dude,
the
I'll just
audio,
call you. Yeah,
yeah,
don't even worry about it.
just shoot me a call, man. We can talk whenever.
Dude, yeah, same to you. Don't feel like you have to warn me either. You can just call me. That's what Earth does. And then if I'm doing
Absolutely.
something, I'll just let you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, Brody. Thank you again so much. This is so much fun. We'll have to schedule another one.
Absolutely,
All
man.
right.
Absolutely.